everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'll be ranking every coaster at Kings Island. This park is one of the most famous parks in Ohio. I fortunately had the opportunity of riding every coaster in the park besides Great Pumpkin Coaster because I was too tall and Flying Ace Aerial Chase because it was closed. Because I went in 2019, I was not able to ride their new for 2020 B&M Giga Coaster, Orion. I was, however, able to ride their Aerodynamics custom looping coaster, VORTEX, before it sadly closed. I will be including this on the list because I was just able to ride it. I was thankfully able to ride all of the park's major thrill coasters. Before we get into the list, I'd like to give 3 shoutouts. The shoutouts are to CoasterMan0108, Simply Sam, and Colorado Coaster Fanboy. Now, let's get into the list. Starting off the list, at number 12 we have INVERTIGO, the park's Vekoma inverted boomerang. I am not a fan of this coaster. While it is intense, I found it too rough to be enjoyable. While I really like the roughness on coasters like The Beast, I wasn't a fan of the roughness here. Also, the Vekoma over-the-shoulder restraints are just unpleasant. Because of the jerkiness of the ride, especially during the Cobra Roll, you can get headbanging that you cannot avoid. So yeah, I am not a fan of this coaster. I really wish this coaster was removed instead of VORTEX. At the number 11 spot, we have WOODSTOCK Express, the park's PTC wooden kiddie coaster. This ride is actually one of the oldest rides at the park. It is not common to find a kiddie wooden coaster. Anyways, I thought this ride was actually kind of fun. It is smooth, and you actually can get a little bit of airtime. It's nothing too special, but hey, at least it's more fun than INVERTIGO. At the number 10 spot, we have Adventure Express, the park's Aerodynamics mine train. I really do enjoy these aero mine trains. This is my favorite of the 3 I've ridden. While this ride is a little rough, it's quite fun. It actually has good theming as well. Overall, this is a fun coaster that everyone in the family will enjoy. At the number 9 spot, we have BACKLOT Stunt Coaster, the park's premierized family launch coaster. This ride is also quite fun. The first launch is actually not a bad launch. This ride also has very good theming. Luckily, when I was there, the fire effect was working, which made the ride even better. Overall, this is another coaster that everyone in the family will enjoy. At the number 8 spot, we have BANSHEE, the park's B&M invert. As you may know, I love most B&M inverts. They are my favorite B&M model. I was expecting to like this one the most of any ones that I've ridden. Unfortunately, this wasn't the case. As you may know, I'm not a big fan of modern B&M coasters. The biggest reason being the B&M vest restraints. This ride had the most uncomfortable vest I've experienced, which is unfortunate. This ride also had a noticeable rattle. As you may know, I don't mind B&M rattles. For some reason, this one was far more noticeable than the other B&M rattles. This ride also isn't the most intense. So yeah, BANSHEE isn't a bad ride, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. This is definitely my least favorite of the 4 inverts I've ridden. At the number 7 spot, we have the BAT, the park's aerodynamic suspended coaster. This ride is decent. I really like the location of this coaster. This ride is also a little bit intense. Plus, this ride is glossy smooth. I don't have much to say about this coaster other than the fact that it's enjoyable and fun. At the number 6 spot, we have Flight of Fear, the park's premier ride's indoor launch spaghetti bowl coaster. This ride is actually pretty intense. The first launch is very good. This ride also has good theming. This ride is very smooth track-wise, but it is quite jerky. It isn't that bad, but the first 3 inversions are quite jerky. There are still good inversions just because they are intense. I'm not a big fan of the middle section where you're kind of just meandering around, but the final corkscrew is very fun. Overall, this is a pretty good ride that you will enjoy if you like indoor launch coasters. At the number 5 spot, we have Racer, the park's PTC dueling wooden coaster. This ride is actually quite fun. It has a lovable vintage roughness while giving nice airtime. This ride is just a very fun, classic PTC wooden coaster. I don't have much to say other than the fact that this is a fun, airtime-filled woody. At the number 4 spot, we have the only defunct coaster on this list, VORTEX, the park's aerodynamics custom looping coaster. This ride was extremely fun and extremely underrated. The first drop gives a little airtime, and the vertical loops are quite fun. Then you hit a mid-course brake run where you basically lose all of your speed. You may think that this ruins the ride, but to me, it actually makes it better. This is because right after the mid-course brake run, you hit 2 absolutely insane corkscrews. These may not look like they're that good, but for me, they gave extreme hang time. This is easily my favorite coaster for hang time. Plus, the final Batwing is also fun. Some people say this coaster is rough. I disagree. A lot of people hate arrow over-the-shoulder restraints, but they don't bother me. It was really a tragedy that this amazing classic aerodynamics custom looping coaster had to close, but I'm glad I got 4 rides on this amazing aero custom looper. At the number 3 spot, we have Diamondback, the park's B&M Hyper Coaster. This is one of 2 B&M Hypers I've ridden. This is the weaker of the 2 I've ridden, but this is still a very fun ride. You get good floater airtime, and this ride is glossy smooth. This is also a pretty long ride. It isn't very intense, but it is very fun. At the number 2 spot, we have Mystic Timbers, the park's GCI wooden coaster. This ride, while it is overrated, is still very fun. You get good floater and flowjector airtime during the ride. This ride is also very smooth for a wooden coaster. This coaster also has decent theming. Let's not talk about the shed, though. Anyways, this is a fun wooden coaster, but it still gets beat out by one other wooden coaster at the park. And that coaster is the Beast, the park's Din Corporation wooden coaster. This ride is definitely underrated. This ride is extremely fun. This ride is really the only coaster I've ridden that the roughness really increases the ride experience. The roughness of this coaster is great. This ride also finishes off with a great double helix that provides great laterals. This coaster is also an amazing location. This location leads to it having absolutely magical night rides. These night rides are truly undescribable. This coaster is absolutely amazing and is definitely my number 1 at the park. And there we have it, every coaster at Kings Island ranked. So this list was actually more controversial than I thought it was going to be. This park is definitely home to my most controversial opinions, even more than Cedar Point. Anyways, this is a great park that I recommend every coaster enthusiast to visit at one point. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Alpengeist Fan 08, out.